Welcome to my writing realm. My name is Tanya, and I'm a Canadian author and creator of Sable Book Night, an independent publishing company. If you'd like to learn more about me and Sable's publications, visit sablebooknight.ca, and Book Night shares the K. Episode 51. The greatest part of a writer's time is spent in reading, in order to write. A man will turn over half a library to make a book. A quote by Samuel Johnson. As writers, why should we read more than just one genre? We hear people say that it's important to read in the genre that we write, as it only makes us stronger once we put pen to paper. However, it is also important to read other genres. But why? To put it simply, a good book touches on more than one genre, although one main genre is how we market that book. For example, it's not enough to write simply a sci-fi book. We need to make the characters believable. They live and breathe as we do and experience life along their journey. There are both positive and negative relationships. They have arguments, and they may even fall in love. We need to consider their upbringing, their family life, and their wants and needs. Adding action and adventure or an aspect of thriller can add depth to the storyline. So, what genres work well together anyway? We've all heard the popular term romantasy. What makes a high fantasy adventure more exciting than the tension that romance brings? Reading romance and high fantasy books will fill your creative well to write the romantasy readers crave. Science fiction. Popular science fiction novels also have a thriller or horror element. There may also be some minor romantic subplots among others. Romance and comedy are highly sought-after duos. Romance can be very serious, and adding the comedic twist makes great entertainment. So why not read some comedy books to learn what works best and makes readers laugh? Science fiction and fantasy. Hey, look at Star Wars. Not only does it contain these genres, but it also has a hint of romance. Enough said. Crime and thriller novels are another beast. They also have elements of mystery, and throwing a hint of romance is not something to shy away from. It can add a whole other level of tension to the storyline. Well, we could honestly go like this all day, talking about what genres mesh well together. Why not mix it up a bit and try to blend more than one genre to test the waters? When it boils down to it, we as writers do this sort of thing naturally as the story unfolds, so try not to put too much pressure on yourself. Overall, reading multiple genres will greatly improve your natural ability to blend genres in your storytelling. So go out and explore the vast world of multi-genres. So what books have I been reading lately? The most recent accomplishment was completing The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I highly recommend this book for those who love reading romantasy. The quality of the dragons themselves was very well done. Talking from experience, writing dragons is somewhat of a challenge. I mean, come on, it's not like any of us have seen or spoken with a real dragon, for obvious reasons. In reality, dragons have their own personalities and ways of communicating, both with other beings and amongst their own kind. The way Shannon writes her dragons are entirely unique, using two different types, both with and without wings, and the magic systems used are very complex and creative. So what didn't I like about the book? The first thing that stuck out to me was the use of single quotations in dialogue. At the beginning, it really bothered me as book formatting is something of importance, in my perspective. Over time, however, it didn't bother me any longer. Yet, I personally would not use this method in my own writing. But why did she choose to use single quotations in the first place? I tried to find out by searching the internet, but had no luck other than finding Google AI's take on the situation. The other thing that bothered me was calling the main lead dragon the Nameless One. In a way, I understand why she chose to use this title instead of choosing an actual name, but it almost felt like a cop-out. Regardless of my thoughts on these two dislikes, I still very much enjoyed the novel and am looking forward to reading book 2 down the road. To take a break from reading this massive 831-page book, I read Scarlett Cole's short story, Falling, which is part of the Faraway High series. It is only 174 pages long and was a sweet retelling of The Little Mermaid. I particularly enjoyed the second half of the book as it was faster paced and filled with emotional drama. It was the perfect palate cleanser. What's next? Well, next I'm going to read book 4 in the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan. Compared to The Priory of the Orange Tree, it is a much lighter read and shorter, and acceptable for a younger audience. What I love most about Riordan's books is how entertaining they are, with droplets of comedy, and they are filled with great characters that go on epic adventures. My to-be-read list is very, very long, and I have quite the extensive library at home. I've chosen to tackle things by reading lighter books between the epic fantasy novels so that I don't get too burnt out. Most of the books I have are fantasy and romance, but I also have shelves filled with crime, thriller, and steamy romance. Once I get through Rick Riordan's books, I may change it up and dive into those shelves. What have you read lately that you recommend for others to read, and what is next on your TBR? Thanks for joining me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, afternoon, evening, night, or whatever, and keep on writing.